Hey, what's up, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I am really just having a real moment right now because two things just happened. First of all, I just saw a couple pictures of a random Facebook friend in an airport, and the setting around her was the exact setting I saw in a dream last night. So that's one thing. That just want to document that because that kind of thing happens to me a lot lately. It's weird. It's like I'm having repeated premonitions almost, but it's not of things. It's just of settings. It's like that kind of thing. It's happening a whole lot. So yeah, document that. Also, I was meditating on a specific point last night. Really meditating, heavy. And I made a video, a therapy session video, where I was talking about a bunch of stuff. I let my mind flow, like, whew. And one of the points that I came to, I believe I recorded this when I said it. To be 100% completely honest with you guys, I was in that meditation phase and I was just talking aloud. 30 minutes, I had it with the camera on, and then as I was listening to that video, after the video ended, I just continued to talk like aloud. You know, I'm a little crazy, so just bear with me. But one of the things that I was meditating on, I don't know if I was recording or not, and mind you, that wedding cake weed was really heavily in the situation. But nevertheless, Kyrie Irving posted something today, this morning, that was aligned with the exact same point that I made last night. Now, I don't remember if the point I made was on camera or off in that little zone in high space of meditation and peace. But what he was talking about, and I'm going to paraphrase because my brain doesn't retain very well either. Every generation has its purpose. Ours is to undo the brainwashing. And I think it was something else added to it, but the majority of what he was saying was, hey, our generation sees through the bullshit. Well, that's what I was saying last night. That's exactly what I was saying last night. I was saying our generation is in a position where we see the ways that have the manipulation ways, and then, you know, the brainwashing tactics that worked against our forefathers and our fathers and our grandfathers and everyone behind us. We, this generation, are sent here to basically undo a lot of that. Undo it. We see it because of the presence of the internet and all of that. We're able to communicate with one another in ways that those in the past weren't able to, and because of it, they were easily swayed by propaganda because they couldn't have certain conversations that we are able to have. So just by nature, the presence of this information, this internet, allows us to be the busters of those manipulation tactics and various things that are in place and have been in place for a long time. That was what I was talking about for a good 30 minutes on my last therapy session video. And Kai posted this morning. I'm like, wow, man, that's a trip. It's a trip because I was like, I don't know if he saw my video, which is very possible because I mention the man's name all the time. So eventually he's going to see my face with him. And maybe you listen to something I said, it might have followed. And if you're here, Kai, man, welcome. I welcome everybody, no matter who you are. And I hope to learn. I hope to learn. I think a lot of people want to share, and I've been one of those people in the past. I want to share. But no, I want to learn, man. I want to learn. And I think a lot of times, for me, digging deep and being introspective is the way that I learn the most. I look at my own behavior. I learn from my own mistakes a lot of times and look inward and just look at the environment around me and listen to people who think differently, various different stuff or whatever. So I come to my own conclusions as everyone does. Consider myself a free thinker. Not the smartest free thinker. I think a lot of times, and this is a point I can bring to the table, I think a lot of times when we look at the presence of free thinking, a lot of times those who are listening to people say they're free thinkers are expecting them to be correct in whatever it is they surmise. It's not necessarily means that they're always right. It just means that they will allow themselves to be open-minded enough to venture into things that maybe they don't know anything about, which is also something I was talking about last night. You know, to be able to bring people together from different places, right? And see the different things that can come together from people who otherwise don't communicate with one another. We can now do that with the presence of information. These are all points that I was bringing together. I referenced LeBron, you know what I mean? Of course, you can listen to the video to see all of that. But the point was, I felt like either maybe Kyrie was meditating on the same thing I was meditating on. It just so happens we're in the cosmos and we were able to come to the same conclusion. Or maybe he actually saw the video. Either way, you know, it was something that I wanted to document because it was so aligned, is the word. It's aligned. And since we're documenting, I've mentioned this before, and I've wrestled with this. I'll tell you this. I'll consider this a therapy session video so we can make this make sense. But for me, since I've come to kind of go into a depression stage at this stage of my life, mom passed away, dad passed away, all these bad things came my way in a short amount of time. And I started to try to go toward a spiritual thing. Christ is who I pray to. Go to my spirituality, pray harder, go toward the faith, right? And in doing so, what it brought me was to the belief, the unwavering belief that my prayers work, right? I'm as naive as to believe that I can move mountains with my prayers. My mommy told me that I can, and I believe her, right? Okay, so with that being said, I realized that the only way for me to really heal from some of the things that I was dealing with was to pray for other people. I couldn't pray for myself. Praying for myself wasn't allowing me to effectively really get from me what I needed. I was working against myself. So in praying for myself, it wasn't necessarily giving me the effect I needed. I needed to be outside of myself in my intentions in order to fully love myself properly. This is just what I came to when praying to God and Christ. And so it was like, all right, this is how I'm going to do it. I remembered it was a good friend of mine who asked me the last time I saw her to never stop praying for her. And I told her I wouldn't, So that's not something you want to lie to anybody about, right? And it has to be continuous. If someone say never stop, that means you have to literally never stop. So in my mind, the way I took it was, okay, she's somebody I can add to that prayer list so that I can keep the promise of actually praying for her every day, literally. And this can be the start of something special for me because now I can remind myself of how self-centered I am. I may have already mentioned this in one of these therapy session videos, so if you noticed already, please forgive me. But I'm saying all this to say that I have a list now and that I've wrestled with whether or not I want to share this with the world because I think it dilutes the purpose. If you start saying, I got a list of people that I pray for every day, some of them are in my family, some people I love just as friends, other people are like just people I've seen online, celebrities that I appreciate their art, and the list just keeps growing and growing and growing and growing. And at this point, after doing this for almost a year and a half and adding, maybe longer actually, maybe 2 years now, and adding names to this list, I have roughly over 100 names of people that I pray for every day religiously as if I'm an ancestor or a family member of theirs. And as I said, a lot of these people I don't know. Kyrie Irving is one of those people, and he's been on that list, honestly, for over a year. So that he's meditating on the same things I'm meditating on, that he's a part of my prayer list that I have made up in my heart and spirit, that, I have a connection with the sport of basketball and a passion for the sport of basketball that brings me to his world, you know what I mean? I think all of that is aligned, I'm a spiritual person. I believe a lot of that is aligned, and I believe that there's something to a lot of this stuff in spirituality, and maybe I might have found something that's working for me. And I'm seeing that some of the people that I'm praying for were having things like this happen. Why is this relevant as well? Because the girl in the picture is also on that list. The girl in the picture with the dream, I told you, the airport setting of the dream, she's on the list. She's on the list. And I've seen things happen for people who are on the list. I have a cousin of mine who has dealt with different battles with her health. I don't want to give too much away. It's not my business to tell, but she's had some incredible battles. And since I've added her to that list, I've seen her health get better and better and better. Setback comes in, goes away, right? Real tough stuff that can be life-threatening, she's been dealing with for years. I've been praying for her for years, and she's still with us today, healthy right now. I don't know if I have anything to do with that, but I'm seeing God do things in people's life. She had the worst scare of her health circumstance when I started praying for her. It looked bad. I started praying for her. She's still here. She's doing better now than she did back then, and that's what we're continuing to pray for. It's another young fella. This is a friend of mine whose son has had health issues. He's needed some things from the world that needs to come his way so he can stay healthy. those things have come his way when it didn't really look like it could. It looks like he's going to turn into a better direction with his health going forward. When I was praying for him, when I first started, it wasn't looking good. Like, these are the things that I'm seeing all over the place. None of these people really know that I pray for them at all, because I don't be telling people. I don't tell them. But I'm watching what's happening in their lives based on just being able to pay attention to them on social media or some of these folks I know, whatever. And stuff is happening for these people. Like things are getting better. I got a friend of mine that I just added to the list. She was having a worst time of her life, and I just added her to the list like maybe a month ago, literally a month ago. She was going through a very tough time with a lot of stuff. As soon as I added her to the list, within a week, she got a modeling contract. 2 weeks after that, she's in Paris taking pictures. Like, I'm serious, man. It's weird stuff. Like, I'm not trying to promote no type of religious anything. I'm telling you, there's some weird stuff happening here. Like, with this prayer list that I got going on and the lives of the people I'm praying for. They don't know that I'm praying for them. Here's another one. There's another person on the list, right? She needed something. In fact, it was this lady's mother. The kid's mother, the one who has the health issue. His mom, I pray for them together on the list. She had an issue where she needed someone to help with a personal circumstance, right? She needed a dog saver, someone to save a dog or whatever, right? It just so happens that another person on my list does that for a living. I was able to connect those two people a couple days ago. Save the dog. Like, I'm telling you, this stuff is happening. I don't even leave the house, y'all. And I'm seeing stuff happen for people that I pray for just because I have an open intent to just see them succeed without any, without any benefit to myself other than to remind myself that I'm a selfish and self-centered, self-absorbed human being, right? To remind myself that if I don't pray for others, I will fall into the belief that I'm the center of the universe. That's all it's about. That's literally all my prayer list is about, is to literally, selfishly remind myself that I'm not the only thing worth, fighting for in this world. And as I continue to practice the prayer, I say their names every day. I ask the Lord to continue to do whatever for them that He'd be willing to do, beyond my understanding, because I don't know these people's lives. I don't even know them, right? But I'm asking Him to do these things for them, and I'm seeing them one by one help these people out, man. And so now it's getting to a point where I'm like, all right, Lord, well, I see this person's going through something. Let me try. Let me see if it works. And then it is. I'm like, oh my God, this is really working. So let me try something. And then I see things happen in their lives. I'm like, oh my goodness, something really, really, really spiritual is happening here. So, yeah, I wanted to share that with you guys, man. That's the truth. This is not just as I surmise it. I got literal receipts for this kind of stuff. I'm looking at them. I'm actually looking at this stuff happening. I'm like, wow, maybe it's nothing. Maybe it's a grand coincidence, right? But I can't seem to figure out why the coincidences seem to blend into my understanding. The Kyrie alignment, the picture and the girl, the situation, the dog situation, being able to put those two people together. And there's other things as well. There's other coincidences I haven't even brought to the table. You know what I mean? So I said all this to say, this is working for me. There's something to it. If we were to take some stats, there would be some math that shows me there's some real stuff to this. There's something to this. And I just think we should continue to look for solutions outside of what's tangible, outside of the gravities of things, so to speak, outside of what you can feel, because what I'm discovering is there's some math to the spirit, man. There's some alignment. There's some things to see. Like, you don't have to just listen to the preacher man or listen to me. Like, there are things you can do in your life that maybe you'll see what I'm seeing. Maybe you'll literally see what I'm seeing here, because this is beyond just the preacher telling you, hey, pray for your brother. No. I literally put it into practice, and I'm actually seeing stuff happen. It's weird, man. Like, really weird. I'm not kidding. So I wanted to share that, document it. Maybe we can start finding some scientific, factual evidence for spiritual energy and the movements of such things. Because once we find alignment for that, then we can start breaking down the different isms and various things that we have that we actually subscribe to as fact. Do you understand what I'm saying? Certain things that we subscribe to that are actually abnormalities, or as I call them, norms that aren't normal, we align with being truthful. And the funny thing is, as we change and start to look at things such as identity and various different awakenings of self, those norms change. Now it's not okay for me to look at you and say you're a guy. Now I gotta say you're a she if you choose to be. That's a definition of sanity now. And if I'm not looking at it that way, I'm no longer sane. So as sanity continues to redefine itself, as we continue to grow and evolve, we gotta understand that those norms that we've been aligned with and holding on to for so long should have been adjusted just the same. Should we not think that way? But because it's so difficult to do so, I think people confuse the difficulty of doing things differently with whether or not it's necessary to face those difficulties and do it. As I say that with the stock market, I say, okay, it's hard for us to fix the stock market, but it's necessary that we do. It may be hard for us to overcome some of the things that we have going on within our political issues, but it's necessary that we fix them. And I think this is also one of those things as well. So free thinking doesn't necessarily mean that the person who's free thinking is necessarily looking at everything the right way and that their information is the right information. It just means that they're open to new information, and maybe you should be as well. With that being said, I think I'm very, very content with everything I've said here. Everybody's important, man. Everybody watching me important. I'm happy that you're watching. You know what I mean? If you happen to be somebody who has a lot, cool. Guess what? I don't, and I still think I'm important. So if you happen to not have a whole lot, you're important too. Just keep believing in yourself, man, because everybody has what it is that they have, but that doesn't mean they can't get a little more or lose a little more. Just keep that dignity, keep your respect, keep your belief in yourself. You know what I mean? That's the stuff that holds substance. A lot of times we try to chase things and we get where we want to go, and we realize we're not happy when we get there. You know, we're trying to get to the mountaintop, we get there, and we're not happy. Or we're looking for a certain truth, we find that answer, and then we don't feel no more complete when those answers come our way. I think a lot of that stuff is answered somewhere nestled in the first 15 minutes of what I'm talking about. It's in praying for others. We're looking for our own answers. We need to be looking for solutions for others. Because if everybody's looking to help everybody else, then nobody ever falls off. That's when we start thinking for ourselves, when things start becoming selfish. It's just like the game of basketball. You ain't passing the ball, you're not working together, you're easy to defend. When you're working together and the ball's moving around just like that, that's when you know you're harder to defend. That's when you can work together and do things beautifully when you work together. So I think that's what I've been preaching for the last 24 hours. I want to continue that into this one. And that's what I've been on, man. I hope that these therapy sessions are useful, man. Inspiring, not only for you, but also for myself when I listen back to them. It's okay to realize that you are selfish, like I have, if that is in fact the case. It doesn't mean that you're of bad heart necessarily. You just have to undo the conditioning of being spoiled or being selfish or being jaded or being whatever the case may be. It does not have to define your heart. It don't have to define who you are necessarily, especially when you realize you don't want to be that way no more. So for me, this is what has worked. Now, I still have the practices of somebody who's selfish. I still find myself not being as empathetic or as understanding or as open with my time with others, things of that nature. And maybe I don't ever reach a level where I'm smart enough to maneuver properly in those ways, right? Maybe I don't ever get there. But if I'm constantly praying for this, for understanding of how best to be the best version of myself, you know, maybe I can find some way around that. Maybe I can come to some conclusion that I don't have yet, you know? So I was trying to tell a friend of mine, look inward. Don't be so satisfied with the surface reasons of things that you do. I think a lot of times when we start digging with psychiatry and start dealing with your mind, psychology rather, getting into the mind, you start realizing that there are deeper meanings. The presence of a subconscious is present. The presence of the spirituality may be present. And that holds its own set of rules and its own set of karmas. And so as we learn and we grow and dig inward, I think you start understanding that there are deeper meanings for things. There are alignments that may not necessarily have to do with tangible, touchable gravity. You know what I'm saying? There's more going on. And if we learn how to use those things as a tool, like our ancestors may have, I think we might actually be able to work around some of these issues that we've created for ourselves. So that is my message, and I'm thankful for it. My name is BDF 44. Thank you all for watching. I'm out.